Hank Marvin, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
You've had a very long and varied career. Why do you think your sound has endured so long?
Look, it's a difficult one to pin down, this, but when I developed that sound, which was more by accident than anything else, the Stratocaster helped. I developed a new style because of the guitar itself, with a whammy bar on it and the echo. It all came together, and everyone liked the sound. Well, most people did anyway. And we sold a lot of records. We had some great tunes to play, and I think the impact at the time was a big one. And that's one thing that I believe helps to cement an artist's future. If you have a big impact when you come on the scene, you create a lot of fans, and many of those fans stay with you down through the years. Also, what's been helpful is that quite a number of high-profile musicians have cited me as an influence. One of the reasons they took up the guitar, and some of those guys now, world famous: Jeff Beck, Brian May, David Gilmour, etc., etc. And I think that also helps. When people like that make good comments about an artist, other people who might be their fans say, "Oh, who is this guy? Check him out." Oh, it's not too bad. And also, it's a different sound. I think that's an important thing. The people I've mentioned, plus others, they might have started by copying me as I copied other people. And that's always part of that learning curve, isn't it? You copy those you admire. But at some point, it's important to find your own voice, develop your own style, and you're different to anyone else. One of the problems I found with many guitarists is a lot of good players around, technically very sound, but they all sound the same. They're all noodling, then you find the guys who do sound different and have developed something. You go, wow! It's like hearing a voice. The difference between, say, Tom Jones, Cliff Richard, or whoever, but you can identify them immediately, and that's, I believe, how it should be with an instrumentalist, particularly someone who's using his guitar as a voice.
It is your voice, yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, you've been coined the Godfather of Delay, for example. What are the little sort of catchphrases or titles that your favourite one over the years, you reckon?
Oh, look, the Godfather of Delay made me smile when I saw it. I thought he was a reference to my lack of punctuality, perhaps. But he was talking about the echo system, which I use, of course. And that was a nice thing. And of course, for quite a number of years now, my name's been used in the rhyming slang.
Yes.
And that was originally something that some musicians told me about. And I was very happy when the Madison's, the food manufacturer, wanted to use it in a commercial.
Did that go ahead with your blessing then?
Oh, of course, they have to seek your and it was a very successful campaign, so they extended it by 6 months and gave me even more money, which I was very happy with. And now they've done a second one, so that's good. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, totally. As a lead guitarist of the Shadows, you've had a long association with Cliff Richard, Sir Cliff Richard. Both still going strong in a very unforgiving business. The best of times. What is the secret to your success then?
Oh, again, hard one to pin down. We used to jokingly say talent, but that's not always the reason why a person is successful. As we know, sometimes the least talented people seem to have a longer career than those with more talent. It's just the way it goes. So many things come into this. As I say, a bit of luck, perhaps, the right place at the right time, right choice of material to record. And I think we've been pretty fortunate in the past with some really good tunes to play. And we've been able, I think one important thing that I've found out from talking to fans and other people who've seen us over the years is that we could back up the records with good live appearances. We've all seen the bands who, I've got to see this band, you hear the record, you see them live, you think it's nothing like the record, And I've heard so many people say, look, we couldn't believe when we first saw you, it just sounded so good live. And that was in the days before PA systems and things. So I think all of that helps, if your live appearances are good, you're backing up the success of your records. People come to see you and they like it. If they don't like you live on stage, it's a disappointment. So I think all that comes together to help you have a longer career.
Absolutely. I mean, this new album is your 15th solo record. It's a collection of summer-influenced music. I mean, how did you sit down and sort of pick the track listing?
A little bit easier than it sounds. I had a longer list than that, of course, but some go out of the window. First of all, I bit my tongue twice today, and that's the third time.
So annoying. I kept on doing that last weekend.
First of all, I was thinking of this, sounds of the summer. So some of the titles, as you probably noticed, are directly connected with summer.
Yeah.
Summertime blues, Good Day Sunshine, You Are the Sunshine of My Life in a way. Then others are indirectly connected. California Girls, you think the Beach Boys, California Girls,
Sure.
Surfing, girls in bikinis, boys in boardie shorts, etc. Daydream, Love and Spoonful, it's that lovely summery feel to the song, warm weather, bury your face on someone's new mown lawn is one of the lines. Things like this, Taste of Honey, I think of the summer of that, probably maybe to do with bees and honey being a summer product perhaps. But that's the first thing, to find songs that have some connection. The next thing is, will they work as an instrumental?
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple were picked and they just didn't work. I felt all of these worked and I produced something with them. And there were also songs which I'd always liked from way back, some of them from the early 60s, some later than that of course. Summertime, the standard from Porgy and Bess is, that goes probably back, the 40s or 50s, I'm not quite sure. Great song though, great tune. And the arrangement on this was done by a friend of mine in Perth, Nunzio Mondi, a great keyboard player. And he's come up with something very different on the treatment of this, which I really like, the approach to it. So that was some of the things that went into choosing the material for the album.
And you got sort of just one new track, sort of summer guitar. It sounds great. Why only sort of one original piece? You sort of.
Well, look, I'd love to do more originals, but you have to be realistic with this sort of material and product. The record company want to try to create a commercial product, and they feel that me interpreting known titles that people say, I love that song, be interesting to hear what he does on that one.
Yeah.
As against, what's original? And I can see where they're coming from. So I'm happy to do that because it's still a challenge to interpret these songs and do something different with them. All right, remember the tune, the essence of the tune. You don't want to ruin that, the good tunes, but you can still do different arrangements that allow us to be creative and do something a little different with them, which I think we have done on most of these, so I'm very happy with that.
No, it sounds absolutely great. You're cited as one of the great guitar greats, and you've influenced the sound of many other people. Who do you look up to and who have you looked up to in the past?
Well, when I started to play guitar, the thing was skiffle, of course, I was into folk blues and all that, and then skiffle came on the scene, and that's when I started playing really. So that skiffle music, Lonnie Donegan, the Vipers and all that stuff, was kind of the thing that was happening then. Then I heard the early rock and roll records that were coming out of the USA, like early Elvis Presley stuff, Gene Vincent, and you had guitarists like Scotty Moore on the Elvis, Cliff Gallup on the Gene Vincent records, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, and a few others, and that just, James Burton on the Ricky Nelson records, and I loved their sound and their approach was so different from anything I'd heard in the UK. So I thought, right, that's what I want to do. I want to play rock and roll and I want to play in this sort of style. So I would listen to the records on the radio, or if I bought them, obviously, I had a wind-up record player, and listen to them on that, and then try to, work out some of the solo bits that they play. Can I learn that? And that's how I started learning rock and roll guitar.
Yeah.
And of course now there's so many great guitarists around that I admire. Some of the people, Brian May, Jeff Beck, Mark Knopfler, Dave Gilmour, Eric Clapton, Peter Green when he was with Fleetwood Mac, great, elegant blues player. And you can go on and on and on,
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, this has all started such a long time ago, coming out names there, years ago. But you're looking amazingly well. Have you lived a particularly healthy lifestyle? It's not naturally associated with sort of rock and roll, as it were.
Oh, reasonably healthy. So when we started, there was no drug scene then. Perhaps not quite true. There was a drug scene, but it was not easily obtainable. Drugs. You had to know certain people. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to be mainly people in the jazz world that went into that sort of thing. And I've read a few stories about some of the jazz greats, and sadly many of them shortened their lives by drugs and things. In fact, I knew a couple of English guys who I didn't know them personally, but I knew of them. I'd met them. Tubby Hayes, Dave Goldberg, great guitarist. Tubby Hayes, of course, a great saxophonist. Both died through overdoses of heroin. And that was really sad, you know, great talents and the life just gone. And to be honest, I was scared of anything to do with drugs, you know, I just didn't want to know about it. Alcohol was a different thing. We didn't drink much then anyway. Now and again we get drunk, but it wasn't a regular thing, you know. And I've tried to eat sensibly from when I was probably about 1963, I suppose. Jeez. And I used to do a lot of exercise, running, playing soccer, and then tennis later on. I'm a bit out of condition at the moment for a few reasons, but I'm going to get back into that. And sleep would come well, but thanks for the comment, yeah. We've not been sleeping well since we've been here, a bit of jet lag, my wife and I. I was awake at 3 o'clock this morning, so...
It's a danger, you're travelling too much. But you know, the guitarist, what about the modern day guitarist? Who would you say is pushing the boundaries guitar-wise these days?
Some of the guys that I've been impressed with in terms of their technical ability and their musicality would be people like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. It's not really a style I like to play. Well, I can't really play that style. It's a different style to me entirely. But they're good players and they've pushed the boundaries there. Yeah. Another guy I'm very fond of is a guy called Eric Johnson, American player. He's totally different to them, but he's a good player, great technically, and he's got some lovely ideas. He's got a beautiful tone. I like his playing a lot. And then there are guys, well, I used to like blues players like Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, I thought he was a cracking player. To me, funny enough, John Mayer seems to have taken on his mantle a little bit. I can hear a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and John Mayer's playing. Yeah. I don't know if you can, but it seems to me he's based his style heavily on that. There are a lot of good guys around, but crumbs. And I'm a big fan of Django Reinhardt, you know, the jazz player, and some of the modern gypsy players like Stockler Rosenberg and Borelli Le Green and a few of the others. Fabi Lafontane's an older guy, but he plays very much in the style of Django, you know, that older style. Yeah. He's a beautiful, elegant player, you know, and I find that very enjoyable to listen to.
Right. I mean, you're associated with a Stratocaster guitar, you know, it's well known. And why did that guitar suit you so well? You know, why did it click?
Oh, one reason was the whammy bar. They call it tremolo arm, but it's a vibrato bar. Really, it doesn't give you a tremolo; it gives you a vibrato. And that, to me, was just the most wonderful little gadget because I always wanted to make a guitar sing more than I could. We had heavy strings in those days, and the Stratocaster was a little longer in scale than the cheapo guitar I had previously, and I found it difficult to bend the second string more than half tone. And I found with the whammy bar I could pull it up the next bit to make it a full tone bend. I could do real dramatic shakes, such as the beginning of Man of Mystery. I could impart a vibrato to the strings when I was playing, so it sounded more vocal, sang more. I could play and dip the string down a little bit. All those kind of things, you know, that to me gave me more expression. And as I got used to the instrument, I was feeling my way around, obviously developing this new way of new approach. It sort of gradually all came together. So the Stratocaster, see, if it had been let's say a Gibson with no whammy bar on it, I wouldn't have developed that style. That vibrato bar was necessary for me to develop that style. And I still use it today. I mean, it's still part of my style. I can do a finger bit and everything, but I still like what I can do with that bar. It just, and you see like Jeff Beck today, and he uses the bar. Yeah. We use it slightly different ways, but the same thing gives a lot of expression to the play. And I love that, you know, not just dong, straight notes, something that bends around a little bit and dips or it rises, you know, almost like a human voice or a sax player.
Totally, yeah, it's a different personality. I mean, you've worked with many people, obviously Cliff Richard, Olivia Newton-John, Jean-Michel Jarre, Dwayne Eddy, Roger Daltrey, Jason Donovan, etc., etc.
I haven't worked with Jason Donovan.
You haven't? No. That was a slightly...
No, not Jason Donovan, so that would have been interesting, but as far as I know, I haven't done
There was...
Maybe he was in disguise. I worked with, what's his name? What's the guy there? He lives in Australia now, a little guy. I can dance, I can... Gee, I can't think of his name. He used to have like an afro haircut, little guy, you know, used to I Can Dance. Portobello Road. Leo Sayer.
Leo Sayer, right?
Yeah. I played on one of his records once, and Shakin' Stevens as well. Yeah. It's been fun working with different people. I've enjoyed that.
Who would you like to collaborate with? And any collaborations that we should know about that are on the cards?
No, there aren't any really. At this stage, I've worked with Brian May, done something with him as well, which was good. He's a lovely man, Brian, a real gentleman. I don't really think so at this stage. I mean, something might come into my mind later, but there are a few guitarists I think would have been nice to have done something with. Even put on a show, for example. You've got some, I don't know, Jeff Beck, Brian May, myself, a few others, all different styles.
Sure.
Maybe half-hour spot each, so you just have a real variety of guitar approaches. I think it could be good for an audience of guitar lovers. They like that
totally.
different approach, and I think that's always a good thing, because if everything's the same style, it's okay. But when you've got guys who are so different in their approach, I think that's really enjoyable.
Yeah, totally. When can we look forward to seeing you live again?
I don't know at the moment. I have no idea. I haven't anything planned, no, not at this stage.
No?
Probably the next things I will do will be in Australia, and it'll be some gypsy jazz playing. I've got a little quartet up there, and we do all this Django Reinhardt stuff, but we do new arrangements, and it's quite encouraging. We're getting fantastic reactions from audiences, many of whom haven't heard this music before. They go, wow, this is great, I love it. And we don't jam, we structure the music very well. It's our background.
Yeah.
Good arrangements, clever arrangements, nice dynamics. We still got the improvisation, but we don't make it go on too long.
Yeah.
Yawn. What if someone said anything more than 2 choruses is a practice session.
Thanks a lot for your time, by the way. It's been a real pleasure. But if you had to pick 3 tracks then across your whole career that would say that would sum you up, what 3 would you choose?
From like early days till now, gee, that's a hard one. 3 tracks. I don't know if you could sum it up in 3 tracks. I mean, you'd obviously have to look at something like Apache as the original hit instrumental we had that sort of sent us down that path of instrumentals. I mean, I would look at maybe something like the theme from The Deer Hunter as one of the most beautiful ballads I've been asked to play, and that was a delight to record. And something which happened quite quickly, we laid the track and it was done in virtually one take. I had to just repair one little bit where the guitar I had it just going on the edge of distortion if I pushed it a little bit, and it just went too far, so I had to redo that little bit. But it just seemed to come together so quickly and so beautifully. And then maybe something else that I would look at would be maybe something on an acoustic guitar. I did an album 12 years ago called Guitar Player. I really enjoyed doing that, and it went well on stage. We used to do 6 tracks on the show on stage, and one track that we did on that album we'd already done on the previous tour was a tune that my son Ben and I wrote called A Tall Dark Stranger. It's a very Irish flavoured tune, a bit like a river dance kind of thing. And that used to stop the show every night when we did that. Just starts off the acoustic guitar, and the band comes in, and it's a really good track. It sounds incredibly difficult to play. It's not really, but it sounds it, and the audiences love it. And that I think that shows another side of what I've done.
Great stuff. Well, thanks a lot for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say to Music News watchers?
Keep watching, keep listening.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for coming in.